everybody. Welcome back to Bring It On. It has been a hot minute since we filmed some new content, but we are back. We are rocking and rolling, and today we have three amazing artists that make up the group Lousekateers, and I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves. We're going to hang out for the next 30 minutes or so. We're going to get to know them, and yeah, let's get started.
I'm Chivo.
Ginger Val.
The Chankster.
And you guys make up the Lousekateers. We were watching some stuff earlier. You play guitar, correct?
I play bass.
You play bass.
Yeah.
So you're singing and you're
Guitar.
shredding at the same time.
I wouldn't call it shredding, but I do my thing.
And then your drums over there.
Yeah, I hit
You
things.
keep the beat.
Yes.
You hit
I hit
things.
things
Very loudly.
Very
Awesome.
loud and really hard.
Well, first I want to just kind of explore the name. Where did that come from?
That's all her.
Okay, so I grew up in Florida where everything was like Disney.
Okay, wait, stop. I grew up in Florida too. That's another
This is
thing.
weird.
We've been learning that we have a lot in common, and
Where?
that's another weird thing. Okay.
Where in Florida?
Tampa, Orlando.
St. Pete.
Weird.
Oh my
All right,
God.
we'll talk later. We'll
Oh
talk
my
later.
God.
That's so
Whoa.
weird. Okay. Anyways,
Florida peeps.
I'm starting
All
to already know where this came from.
This
okay.
is weird. So I grew up in Florida where everything was like Disney, and Disney is kind of like the evil empire.
Yeah.
In terms of like corporate America, and they don't really treat their employees very well either. So I actually had friends who worked for Disney who wound up leaving because they were such horrible human beings. We were coming up with a name. We kind of wanted to poke fun at corporate America, Disney, things that are like, you know, bouncy and happy, and make it kind of punky and fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought of the Mouseketeers, and the Mouseketeers were like the epitome of like the all-American perfect people. And so it's kind of like making fun of them and everybody else.
Wow. That's well, that's quite the story.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
And so are you guys also from Florida?
No.
No.
You guys met here.
Yes.
And so that just came from an idea from long ago.
We're
Yeah.
all friends of friends.
Friends of friends, and you
Yeah.
just came together through mutual friends
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you hung out and started making music.
Pretty much.
And now we're all friends.
How long has this been going on?
So we've only been together for, actually, it almost marks a year.
Okay.
So Dan and I originally started making music together, and then we were like, we should get another person. So I kind of had stuff from my old band that I brought in, and I was in the middle of writing new music. He also writes music,
Okay.
so we were working on some of his stuff. And then
So is he.
I do
Chivo
too.
also writes music.
Yeah.
And him and I actually, it was weird because he was like, oh, I have this bass player, you got to meet him, da, da. And it turns out that him and I actually knew each other.
Oh, that's fun.
Another small world story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And surprisingly
So,
enough,
yeah.
me and him have known each other for years too. And we
Yeah.
just in and out, we'd be meeting each other. I've always thought he was a great
And
bass
here
player.
you are,
Always.
making music.
Yeah.
Opening up for some awesome bands, I hear.
Yeah, Fishbone.
We're actually opening for Doyle of the Misfits next Wednesday.
Right? Which we've seen all over your Instagram. Is that somebody that you guys really inspires you?
Well, I really love the Misfits. They were
really
a big influence on me. So opening up for Doyle of the Misfits is like, oh
A
my,
dream come
yeah,
true.
that's like, oh my god.
That's
There's a
awesome.
respect factor when you're playing punk and then you actually play for an icon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like we've worked with Joe Queer, who's the lead singer of the Queers. He's an icon in the punk industry, and also like her personal favorite
One of my musical idols.
yeah.
I grew up watching him. I used to go to punk shows where you'd pay like $5, and that was a lot of money at the time. And it would be like a packed house, and I just loved him so much. And I never ever thought I'd be in his house,
Wow.
in his studio, singing with him. He's actually on our upcoming album.
That's amazing.
Singing. So it was an amazing experience. He's just an amazing human being. Like,
Wow.
just one of those people that likes to help musicians because he's very empathetic, and he's like, I've been there, like, let me help you out and stuff. So, like, to get a chance to do that, you know, he's played with the Ramones. He's like a big deal.
Wow.
So that was like a life highlight.
And
that
a-
was amazing.
And a motivation
Really
too
cool.
after.
Yeah, I was
after
gonna say
being
it's
here.
definitely like a different feeling when somebody that you respect so much, you feel like respects you. It's like
It was
such a
nice.
kick.
It's definitely an influence because it's like a lot of musicians, you don't know if they have that attitude where they're like, they have an ego, so they don't really want to give the time of day for
Right.
people. But meeting him was like, oh my God, like it's okay. He doesn't have this massive ego. It's not
Yeah,
like
that's awesome. Tonight we're gonna hear "On Fire."
on
On
fire.
Fire.
Yes.
On
Yes.
Fire. Okay,
Yes.
so tell me a little bit about that one.
She wrote it, man. She's the
So,
writer.
I'm also a writer, and I started a book called The Breakup Diaries 8 years ago, where I'm basically documenting a year in the life of a breakup. It was kind of like almost like a poking fun response to Eat, Pray, Love. It was a more raw version of that. So when I was beginning to write the book, I also wrote 10 songs that kind of mirrored what was going on in the book.
Cool.
And On Fire is all about temptation and like when you first meet somebody and you're just like, I want that. And
sounds
it
great.
kind of like goes all the way through to the breakup, to the moving on. And you hear that a lot in our upcoming album. A lot of the songs that I wrote for the book are going to be on the album as well.
Nice. Well, we're gonna
So-
take a look or take a listen, and we'll be right back.
Put out the fire. When I'm with you, I'm walking on a wire. Dangerous, your kisses never tire. Oh, 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 yeah. Not the fire. Yeah, and when you touch me, you make me feel like nothing is about me. Breathing, heavy breathing, yeah, it does me. Oh, it does me in all night, yeah, it does me. It makes me feel alright. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got a body all of the edge. Getting close to the flame, what it does. I know what to do, baby. I kinda like it, it's a fire. Really, 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 I'm on fire. Burn it up, baby, I'm on fire. Oh, 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 yeah, I'm on fire. Oh, yeah, and I'm smoking. Any chance of breaking this is broken. I'm sleeping, heavy breathing, you're my token. Oh, and I'm in ecstasy, I'm a token. I need you here with me. Go! I don't know, don't know how to my that body all of the air. Go to the place, does I know what to do, baby? I gotta have it, it's a fire. I'm really, 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 I'm on fire. Really, 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 I'm on fire. Oh, 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 yeah, I'm on fire. Yeah, I'm on fire. Gotta put me out. You gotta put me out. I said 1, 2, 3,
All right, we are back. That was awesome, guys. I love the punk genre. It's something that like I'm not familiar. It's such a specific audience. With that, do you guys feel like it's harder to build a following? Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause it's not, it's not
is.
mainstream like pop or rap, and you hear it on the radio all the time. It's something that you have to tune specifically into, or specifically like find those underground bands and artists.
You definitely don't go into punk thinking to yourself, man, I can't wait to get famous. Stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You do it because you love to play and like you love the genre. You don't go into it thinking higher expectations of it. You kind of just do it for the love.
It is fun though, because although not everybody is listening to punk on
Yeah.
the regular, I feel like everybody had a punk phase in their life. You go, whether it's in middle school or whether it's in high
Yeah.
school, you go through that phase. So it's cool that, it could trigger, like people could hear it as adults and it could trigger back a memory
Yeah.
or something and still be really enjoyable for people that aren't actually like listening to punk on the regular.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that because pop punk is an even more niche market. So you have, there's still a punk culture, particularly in New York City. You could still
Oh, for
find
sure.
it. It's there. But then when you go into pop punk, it gets even smaller.
Right.
And it's kind of like, I feel like the people who are drawn to our stuff are the people who, kind of like you said, went through those phases and maybe never left them. Like me, I listen to a lot of different kinds of music, but I always continued to listen to punk. It was a very inspirational genre of music to me, and it kind of followed me through life. And you know, I write what I like, so it's, you know, but it is, yeah, it's very different. When you go to the West Coast, you find more of like beachy, kind of pop punky kind of
Yeah.
music like ours, I guess, you know. But over here, it's not. It isn't as popular. It's
Definitely,
not.
yeah, definitely not in
You know.
Manhattan. There are certain spots though that you guys can find the fans, definitely. What do you guys do to build your fan base? What do you think that your
Play.
key? You just play everywhere
as
you
much
can.
as we can.
Yeah.
Well, you seem to be doing pretty well for yourselves.
We
What's
try.
your favorite person you've opened up for? What's your favorite show that you've played?
Me personally, we just opened for Fishbone.
Okay.
And I grew up listening to Fishbone. So
Nice.
for me personally, that was it. But can I speak for you guys? I don't know.
For Fishbone, I mean,
Fishbone was
I-
pretty.
it was pretty cool.
And they were just such great guys, like
Yeah.
just amazing human beings. Like they stayed and watched the whole set, and you know they were just very human, very cool people. So yeah, I think that was one of my favorite shows.
But I will say, we did have another show we opened up for this band called the Murder Junkies, and I don't know, I don't know if you are familiar with Gigi Allen.
Oh no.
He's like
He's
notorious for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, he's the worst kind
One
of
of those.
and
notorious.
we met his brother,
Oh, great.
and
Opened for them.
his brother was like, I asked his brother, I was like, so what's the biggest thing you've done? And he's like, he gives me the CD of Gigi Allen. He's like, this is the best thing we've done, and it is one of the most brutal albums I've ever heard in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
and she
That
has
was interesting.
It's
she
not
actually
for
has
the
a
faint of
funny
heart.
story about the drummer.
Oh yeah, so I go in the woman's bathroom, and there's this guy with a huge beard, dyeing his beard hair in the sink,
Oh.
and I thought
So punk.
it was very punk, and I actually thought he was a homeless person. I was like, I don't know if I should give him money or whatever. I'm in the woman's bathroom. Do I go to the bathroom? What do I do? And he's in there,
Should I go
and
to the
there's pink
bathroom?
hair dye everywhere, and I'm like, all right, I'm just
This
gonna
sounds like your
pretend this
next
isn't
hit.
happening right now. Pink hair dye in the bathroom.
Yeah. That's great.
So it wound up being one of the band members from the Murder Junkies, and I had no idea.
Oh,
I
wow.
was like gonna try to help this guy out because I thought he was very clearly on drugs.
Right.
He was
He
like
was just prepping for the show.
didn't know where he was.
That's
and
so
there's
funny.
like pink hair dye everywhere, and I'm like, I'm just gonna keep going to the bathroom because. But then next thing I know, I see him on the drum set.
You
and I
know,
was
the
like,
music
oh.
industry, you know, there's a lot of weird things that happen.
Yeah.
No matter
Yes.
what
Yep.
genre you play. What are your plans for the next couple years? Do you guys ever want to tour? Are you happy with where you're at? Are you going to write some new music potentially?
I think that's all in the cards right there.
Yeah, we were just signed by an independent record label called 31 Records.
Great.
31 Records. Plugging 31 Records. They're a new label. They're based out of Las Vegas.
Great.
They've been really helpful in trying to get our stuff out, helping us to build a fan base, things like that. So they do tours all over the place. You can kind of jump on and play any of the tours. So yeah, I mean, we're always writing new stuff, all the time. He writes as well. We're trying to get him to write. He kind of writes, but he needs to
his
show
stuff,
us the stuff.
Very sensitive. Very sensitive.
But definitely, like we're all. I think the shared bond is that we're all equally passionate about what we do.
That's great.
We love to going on tour was so enlightening. It was so cool to get to meet people and
It was the
fun.
do
first
what we
one.
love to do. It was
Awesome.
just so much fun.
Yeah, and we're going to continue that. I think
Yes,
that's
we
the
definitely
Yeah,
we're
you
going to
guys have
continue
a
that.
very group team feel. There doesn't seem like there's just like one star. It seems
Absolutely,
you guys all
it's definitely a
contribute.
team effort here. It's not like
great.
okay, like
We,
Val.
we,
So
tr- we try to communicate as openly as possible. That's really what we realize is the key.
Yeah.
If we communicate, things don't become a hassle. Nothing becomes
Yeah.
we all team effort.
Well, we have another song called Johnny Danger coming up. So we're going to take a listen to that and we'll be right back.
Johnny Danger, time to help me feel what's real. Johnny Danger, yeah, you thought the pain would never heal. Johnny Danger, tell you, baby, that you save me. And why you save me was so true. Let myself a little taste. Now I want it all the time. You're the air I breathe and I gotta say, what would I do? What would I do? What would I do without you? Would I do? What would I do? What would I do without you? What would I? What would I do? What would I do without you? What would I? What would I do? What would I do without you? Without you, yeah. Johnny Danger, every time you did me all so wrong. Johnny Danger, but the darkness made us strong. Johnny Danger, I love you, baby, because you save me. How are you? Hear me. Not to. Don't down for living. Now I want him all the time. You're the air I breathe and I gotta say, wow! What would I do? What would I do? What would I do without you? Would I do? Would I do? What would I do without you? What would I? What would I do? What would I do without you? What would I? What would I do? What would I do without you? Without you.
I felt so hard for you.
I felt so hot for you.
I felt so hard for you.
I felt so hot for you.
I felt so hard for you.
I felt so hot for you.
I felt so hard for you.
I felt so. What would I do? What would I do? I felt so hot for you. Would I do? What would I do? I felt so hot for you. Would I do? What would I do? I felt so hot for you. Would I do? What would I do? I felt so hot for you.
So we're back. Another good hit from you guys. So in the genre.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about this one?
So Johnny Danger is actually one of the newer songs. So that song was written when I was, it was about somebody who, it was a very tumultuous beginning, and it wound up being the best thing that ever happened to me. And the name came from, during the time where it was very tumultuous, I had it programmed into my phone, Johnny Danger, as the name when he called, so I wouldn't pick up the phone. I would remember that he's dangerous.
That's
So
amazing.
that's where the name
Tips,
came from.
ladies.
I know.
Just put a warning sign on the call.
I
That's so
didn't
funny.
want to pick up my phone because it was like, okay, here we go again. I need a reminder to tell me why I shouldn't do this. But it actually wound up being one of the best decisions of my life. So he's a very important person to me. He is a real person. So the song is kind of about like going through a lot together, but winding up in a very intimate, deep place where you actually don't know what you could ever do without that person in your life.
Nice.
Everyone has that one person in their life that you just can't live without. and that's him. So.
I mean, I'm
Do
Phoebe.
you want a hug?
Yeah.
You want a hug? Teddy bear.
I could live without her, but
You can live without her.
Daddy bear.
I have a question off the beaten path. If you guys weren't musicians, what do you think you'd be doing?
If I got to
Love
answer
them.
that question seriously, what I would do if I wasn't a musician, I'd probably be homeless on the street.
On the street.
Oh, Jesus. Here
You'd
we
be
go.
in the Murder Junkies.
Yeah, it would be the bird junkies. Absolutely.
You would be the murder junkie. Like,
Exactly.
Tino.
Us artists, though, you take away our passion, our music, we have nothing.
It's
so it's
true.
great that you guys found
It's
each
so
other
true.
and that you created something so beautiful and something that you have a fan base for and you're doing so well, and that comes from the bond that you guys have. So I think you guys are well on your way. We have one more song before we close out, and it is called Cockatiel Boy. Cockatiel.
Yeah, it's so random. So
sure.
among my many adventures when I was moving around a million times and being a gypsy, I was living in Orlando, and I used to do musical comedy.
Okay.
And it was like a one person on the guitar kind of thing where I'd go in and make up like parodies and I do a little stand up in between. And there was this guy who used to always make these cockatiel noises. And he was like, Ginger Val, can you write a song for me? And I was like, all right. So I wrote that song for him. And that song is like 20 years old.
Wow.
It started off as something I would just do like on the acoustic guitar, and it kind of like followed me throughout from band to band to band. And it's really old, but it's something that everybody always remembers is that song. I guess because it's silly. I don't know.
That's great.
But so yeah, that's where it came
So
from.
we're going to hear that. Well, it was great having you guys on. You're lots of fun. First
Thank
punk
you.
band I've ever interviewed.
Yes.
Thank you for
And
having
I'm
us on.
very
Still alive.
impressed.
They're still around.
And I wish you guys well and break legs at your next show.
I promise
Thank
you I will.
you.
Oh, I will.
And you're going to have fun with that
Yeah,
one.
I will.
Is there anything else you guys would like to add before we head out? Anything you'd like to say?
No, just
I'm just gonna shake my head at him.
yeah. He does the head shake. Chivo
I love you, Mom.
Do we have more time, or I think we're good to go? So this is it. We have 2 minutes. All right, let's do some fun questions since we have a
Sure.
little bit
Okay.
of time left.
Yes, my
fun
favorite part.
question.
Fun question.
Yes.
All right, we have. All right, everybody, what's your favorite food? Down the line, before I ask the choices one.
Awful. That's an awful thing to do to me. Don't ask the fat guy who was saying move down the line. There goes someone else. Ask him.
I could eat sushi every day.
Okay.
In all honesty, I'm a vegetarian of 22 years, so I always get like cucumber avocado rolls, and I'm serious. If somebody gave that to me for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and dessert, I could literally eat sushi every day. Love it.
I'm not a fan of sushi, but
It's
people
so-
who are, they love it.
Yes.
No, I can do
yes.
sushi, just not breakfast. That's
Not
it's awful.
breakfast. What about you?
Sesame
In my
chicken.
cereal.
Sesame chicken.
Sesame chicken, because I'm Chinese.
You're Chinese. And just pick the first thing that comes to your
I'll
mind.
just go to pizza. Pizza's just like everyone's
Pizza?
favorite. We'll just go pizza. Go with that one.
Sesame chicken because I'm not used. All right, we've got 1 minute left. I do have one question. It's a serious one. If you guys were to build a really big platform and had a moment to speak to the world on something, what is something that you would stand up for? What is something that you would fight for? A cause?
That's tough.
Just really
That's a
quick. We've
good
got
one.
like 30 seconds.
Go for it. You're
You
the.
go for this.
I would definitely say racism and all the things that are happening with police brutality right now. I just saw the Hate You Give today with my students, and it's so powerful, and I think there needs to be more attention paid to it. That's something that I'm very, very passionately,
That's a good one.
vehemently against, and I think there needs to be more awareness
Absolutely.
with a lot of people. So.
Great. Well, thank you again, guys. And I wish you well again. And I hope that if you do get that moment to stand up for what you believe in, I hope you get it. And I hope it goes well. And it was a pleasure having you guys.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Thanks. Until next time, here's Heaven. No.
It's okay.
Here's Cockatiel Boy.
Cockatiel boy.
Not Superman, the cousin of the crow. Spend my day super bird by night. Didn't fight crime, but we're still alright. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 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 oh. 'cause it's only one parrot that knows it. I wanna think it used to hurt when he would say, oh, oh, yeah. Great, found it out when I was young. Surprise, the name begins with cotton. To this day, never thought that he would cheat.